Alright, so this is a follow-up video and it's regarding a very specific topic, and more specifically it's about when you reach nearly the very last stage and requiring you to work on the connection editor. It's the same process that I talked about in the letter R rigging. Specifically in the rigging video number 7, again regarding letter R, and that video was number 7, again regarding the connection editor. So this is obviously a different letter. Everything has been set up for the most part. You can see here, right, where I have my empty group organizer. Inside it I have in here organized with the root joint chain. I have my animation controller chain, right? I have my parent constraints, and then I'm going to close this. I have my mesh, I have my global controller. All of that is packaged into my main group. Oh, by the way, my main group, this needs to be locked out. Right, main group locked out, if you haven't done so. All of this is in the videos. Anyway, going back to the connection editor. This part, this is again another second video. There's some things I also want to highlight and address some more. So under Windows, General Editors, Connection Editor. Click it. Here we are. First thing I want you to pay attention to, right, because this will make or break your grade. I repeat, this will make or break your grade of reaching 70%. Okay. Make sure to save this file. I repeat, make sure to save this file before going ahead with the connection editor. I said it before in the previous videos, I'm just going to say it again. Save multiple files along the way as a backup. Because if you don't, I can guarantee you one of those rigs are going to blow up and you're going to have to redo a whole bunch of stuff, and that is on you, and I will not accept that as a, I guess, legitimate excuse. Okay, just fair warning. As usual, I give fair warning. And I see here, I already named it. Letter P, groups completed, meaning the groups have been completed. Connection editor. Before I do anything, make sure that this first and foremost says to and from. Make sure you have this set. I repeat, make sure you have this set. This. Next, left display. I'm going to tear it off. Show inputs. All you need is just show inputs for your left display. You can tear it off. Right display, tear it off. Show readable. Show inputs. It's slightly different from my previous tutorials, but it's the same thing, just less information. Show inputs, right display, show readable. Next, if you have, well, you should have your mesh in its own display layer. For now, unlock it. You know, previously it was set to reference. Uncheck it. Select your mesh and only your mesh. Select only your mesh. In the channel box, you should see here Delta Mush 1. You should see here Skin Cluster 1. Click on Delta Mush 1. Right, just click on Delta Mush 1. Click the mesh and then click on Delta Mush 1. After you do that, in here, click on Reload Left. This is what you see. Delta Mush 1, right? You should see here inputs. You should see here to and from. You should see here outputs. You should see here show inputs only, right? Down here it should say P. Like I said before, this should say Delta Mush 1. Then I'm gonna select my global controller. And then I'm gonna reload right. Okay. This should say P or whatever your letter is, global controller. This should say whatever your letter is, global controller. Delta Mush 1 should say P. Left display, show inputs only. Right display, show readable. This should say to and from. Right? I don't care if students are getting annoyed that I'm repeating this right over and over again, because something will blow up if this is not done, and then even if you redo it correctly afterwards, it will still be broken. I can guarantee you it will still be broken. So like that's why I say save a backup file to go back to. Do not save over this once you do the connection editor. Anyway, once this is set, on the right column, I repeat, on the right column, you click on scale. On the left column, you click on scale. You'll notice something just happened here. The global controller, right? Because I still had it selected when I done the reload right. I still had it selected. The global controller, it should now see here something new called outputs. You should also see here Delta Mush 1. I'm going to close the connection editor. Back to this, outputs Delta Mush 1 for the global controller. If I click on Delta Mush 1, you should see this new stuff. This should be yellow, scale X, Y, and Z. If I were to select my mesh, if I click on Delta Mush 1 under inputs, you will also see yellow. Basically what happened was this little magical trick that Delta Mush does, right? It has its own little scaling properties for the Delta Mush and what it does in terms of making the smooth binding even smoother. And then now you have just connected the Delta Mush, its little scale X, Y, and Z, right? You connected its scale X, Y, and Z, the Delta Mush, the little magical properties it's able to do. Its scale X, Y, Z, you connected it to the global controllers, right? Outputs. Now the global controller is commandeering and manipulating the Delta Mush's properties, scale X, Y, and Z. That's what happened. Because without this, you cannot scale properly and scale it as big or as small, right? See how everything's working together? See? You can scale as small as you want or as big as you want. So that's how you do the connection editor. If you follow those steps and you have a backup file, do not save over this, right? Save this file as something new, right? If this is not possible, I will be checking for this. Unfortunately, you have not reached the 70% mark, all right? I'm going to turn the mesh back to reference. I'm going to turn the bones back to reference. And that's for your specifically regarding the connection editor. Okay, and that's the end of that tutorial. Please take this video part seriously, just like with the letter R's video number 7. Okay, I'm emphasizing it even more so now. Alright, that's the end of that. This doesn't mean it's completely done though. You know, you do have to check and, you know, lock out certain things, you know, which is kind of a different topic. Locking out, for example, a COG. No. Oh, it's locking out scale. So I'm going off tangent already. You know, grab all the controllers, animation controllers, minus the global control. Highlight all of this, right click, lock. This prevents double scaling if you end up scaling some other parts without knowing, and it still will scale. Basically, the global control controls the entire scaling process, and when I locked out the other controllers to prevent scaling, right, to prevent double scaling, that's what I just did. So that's the other important thing too. As long as you watch through all the rigging tutorials, specifically letter R, specifically letter I, specifically letter G, and specifically letter U, and or also some of letter O that I have made recently. If you follow all those to the T, your rig should be completely fine. If you skip any steps, I can guarantee you your rig is not going to work. If you skip any pretty important steps, and they're all important steps because they all build upon each other. Alright, so that's the end of that. Bye bye.